Thank you for joining us on this virtual meet today, where we will be basically discussing ONDC and its impact. We have a very, very eminent speaker with us today, but before I go on to introduce the speaker, let me give you a little bit of an introduction of India Insurtech Association. That's the forum that I'm representing. The India Insurtech Association, it's started as a very, very broad conversation between three of our co-founders, Shwetang Verma, Subhajit, and Prerak Sethi. So the idea was that it was a hot topic of discussion, in the insurance ecosystem in India, but there was no formal body driving interaction between startups, companies, and professionals within this space. So when they looked at outside of India, they found that practically every market had a forum for the insurtechs, and I think India was the only market that time that did not have a forum, and that made it very, very pertinent that such a forum should be launched in India. And so I was basically launched as a not-for-profit with the aim of bringing together the entire insurance ecosystem, which is startups, insurers, reinsurers, policymakers, service providers, and insurance professionals into a single platform in India. So as the forum started, there was a high-level mission which was defined, for the forum, and basically, there were a couple of them. So the first one was to facilitate partnerships between startups and the broader insurance industry, such as the insurers, reinsurers, service providers, and investors. Second was to help Indian insurtech companies to access global markets. Third was to connect insurtech startups with the insurance industry experts, not just from within India, but also from outside of India. The next one was to be an independent voice of the insurance and insurtech ecosystem to engage with policymakers to foster forward-looking policies. Of course, to publish and promote thought leadership on insurtech coming out of India, and finally promoting initiatives which use technology to increase insurance penetration across different socioeconomic segments of India in a more equitable way. So in line with the broader agenda of IAA, we come out and conduct many virtual and physical events in India with ourselves and with partnership with other forums. Today's event, is a very, very important, event, and we thought it is important that it should be given, its due importance. And to do honors to this subject of ONDC, we have with us today Mr. Rahul Handa. He's a Senior Vice President, Strategic Initiatives at ONDC, and responsible for managing dispute, fraud, open data, reputation ledger, and settlement as a service. With over 25 years of experience, Rahul has the expertise at consulting across global markets. He has been associated with, big firms like Gartner, Ernst & Young, and Cognizant. Besides, he's also an entrepreneur, having co-founded Kipchiri. So Rahul, welcome to the show. And from here, I would basically want you to kind of, lead the presentation. Thank you once again, and I hope we have a great session.
Thanks, Nilanjan. To everybody on the call, sorry we began a little late. I think some of us were having some technical glitches. So our apologies on that one. But let's begin on that one. So, as I said, thanks, Nilanjan. And another special thanks also to Anu, who's dragged me onto this call also. Basically, through various words of wisdom, as well as turning around saying that if I didn't come, she would stop helping me on on the different insurtech components that we are working on at ONDC also, right? So threats and all worked also. So that being said, Anu, thank you very much, and Nilanjan, thank you very, very much also. Now, what I wanted to do today was, as a first point, just to let you know that there is a set of questions you can actually ask on the chat box on the right-hand side. Please put in the questions. I'll periodically keep looking at that. And as time comes up, I will pop up and ask and answer whatever questions come up. So feel free to keep adding your questions onto that. That being said, just wanted to spend a few minutes and try and figure out how many of you have an idea of what is ONDC, right? not just from the news and all of those, but do you have an idea of what is out there? What are the different components associated with ONDC? How does ONDC even function and work? Because that is a very, very important factor. Um, any anyone wants to pop up? No. Okay. So let's start on that one, right? As a start point, we are firstly based in Delhi. As a last till I think till yesterday, we are doing somewhere around about um, over about 50 odd thousand transactions every day across retail and across mobility, and in just about 85 plus cities in the country. Now, the difference for us is where is it that we are versus what is it that the different platforms are trying to do. Yes, let's start with that. So from a platform world perspective, generally speaking, all of us have grown up with the idea of using a platform. And from a platform perspective, what tends to happen is that all of us are very comfortable with it because it's practically part of our DNA, right? Whether we are buying vegetables or we're getting a vehicle or we are buying any kind of fruit product, etc., we are all very, very used to using a platform. But what tends to happen in that space is that if you look at what happens, is that it tends to keep a certain amount of set of people out of the overall ambit of what can be done. What that means is that if I look at it, just about some 6% of the total people in India are actually using some form of digital penetration, right? That's about it. Now that, and it's also obviously limited even as you start going down into towns and rural cities. What that means is from a seller perspective, right? There are limited choices for the sellers to be online. Now, what that where I'm looking at it is saying that less than 1% of the sellers in India are actually online. Uh, there is the sellers also don't really have an option to try and set their own terms and conditions, whether it is margins or when they get paid, etc. As well as their ability to be discoverable is dependent on not just the number of customers that that particular commerce platform has, but also over the number of platforms that they have to go to. So effectively, their overall objective of managing their price points and all is kind of negated out, right? I mean, you can't manage your own margins, you can't manage your own terms and conditions, you have no idea of when you are going to get paid, and very, very importantly, you need to be on various e-commerce platforms so that a majority of the people can come and see you. Now that's where actually ONDC comes into picture. There are two major design principles that have driven our entire approach. One is unbundling, and the second one is interoperability. What does unbundling or interoperable mean, right? If I really and truly look at it, that's basically our DNA structure also. Is it possible that if you're sitting on, let's say, Hotmail, and another person is sitting on a Yahoo or a Gmail system, that you won't get their email? No, it's actually practically inconceivable. Or even from a banking space, from a fintech perspective, right? Is it possible that I walk into a particular bank with a different with a check from a different bank and they won't honor it? Well, if there is money, then obviously they will. But the idea behind that is that because of a certain set of rails or a certain set of defined processes and all, is why I'm able to send out a protocol, why I'm able to send an email from one client to another client, or for that matter, also be able to pick money from a different bank to my side, or even from that perspective, be able to call from whether I'm on Vodafone or on Airtel, and be able to pick up the phone and call from one network over to the other network. That's because there are already protocols that have already been existing. And that is where ONDC comes into the picture. We are only the ones who are trying to make sure that we are connecting those rails. We are the ones who are trying to create those standardized protocols between buyer app and seller app. Now, what that means is that effectively speaking, I'm looking at a construct where I'm saying, how do I get a certain set of customers to be able to go online, right? And by the way, from a customer perspective, also, there is a certain amount of lack of trust. The reason for that is that if I look at it, I am always going to be a little wary, and which is why I will go to multiple platforms to check for the price of whether it is air tickets or it is a television I'm trying to buy, anything like that, right? I don't really trust all of them because I don't know whether the platform that is actually coming up and showcasing me those particular products is actually right for me or not. So now the idea behind ONDC is also obviously to build trust. The way that ONDC works is, and by the way, we are not here to be any form of killer of any application or any existing platform, right? Think of us as the UPI for commerce, which basically means that at the end of the day, when ONDC is going to be fully loaded out, even these platforms will grow. Maybe just not as much as they have been growing, well, maybe for everybody else. See, ONDC is looking at trying to go down to a majority of India. So let's say we say we're going to go down to 75% of India. What we are building for is population scale, right? What we are building for will impact 1 billion people in India itself. And why just India? Anywhere across also. So where we are looking at is that we're going to expand out the market and the pie for everyone. What that is that the buyer or the customer. So, for example, Rahul Handa wants to buy something. I will just go to a buyer application. I'm not going to say I'm going to go to a particular platform. I'm just going to go to a buyer application. Buyer application can be like PhonePe, Paytm, any of the banks, any of the people who are providing us with cell phone networks, etc. And any one of those will then send my request to the ONDC network, and the ONDC network will now broadcast that request to various seller side applications, which can be like Magic Pin or can be like GoFrugal, Growth Falcon, etc., etc. Each one of them will then send back through the network back to the buyer application and say, "Hey, these are the different requests that we are fulfilling." So whether Rahul Handa was looking for a refrigerator or a phone or food or anything like that, all those requests are going to go back through the buyer app to the customer. So the customer really doesn't have to worry about going to multiple buyer applications now, right? So you just go to one point, you're able to do that. At the same point in time, once a product is going to be chosen, and if it is a physical product, obviously it needs to be delivered out. Now that is where another set of seller applications comes into picture, which is like the logistics seller guys, which can literally be something as simple as saying that I will get a Dunzo or a e-cart or somebody like that to pick up that service. Now, who contracts for that? Well, believe it or not, as per the structure of ONDC, what we are trying to do is remove the digital boundaries that have been put on by the platform onto a very, very physical world. In the real physical world, I will go and choose a product. And whether I'm going down to my local shop and that guy is going to deliver it to me, or I'm saying, or he's going to go and procure some kind of quick delivery service which is going to deliver it to me, or I will get that delivery service, or I just walk down there in the evening when I'm finishing up my walk and go pick it up. Any and every one of those different logistics provider options are completely possible, right? So buyer app can choose logistics, customer can choose his own logistics, seller app or the seller himself can also choose the logistics. So any of those different options are completely possible on the network. If you look at it right now, we've got a certain number of transactions which are happening, which is driven by say 10 plus buyer applications who are on the network. We've got enough logistics suppliers. We've got about 30 odd seller applications. And across the network, we have some 35,000 sellers, okay, which is also covering something like 38 lakh SKUs. Now, over and above that, we have another line of about 3,000 plus different entities who are going to be getting onto the network, whether it is on the seller side or on the buyer side or on the logistics side. Now, what I want to do is stop on that and come back to you and walk you through how insurance also plays a major, major role. Right. So far, what we were talking about was a product being procured and a product going over the value chain to the other side, and then obviously there is a reverse flow of value, which is money, which is coming back. Right. Now, insurance, mutual funds, credit. These are all different components that we've already started working on so that these will also be provided over the network, right? So literally, I have a customer who's sitting in and going over the buyer application, which is PhonePe, Paytm, etc. Network is sending it out as a request to the gateway. Gateway is then sending it to various seller applications. Seller application has various sellers behind it. Everybody's responded back. Now, a couple of things happen, right? I can look at insurance as an embedded product or as a cash or as a sachet product also. So we are looking at enabling out sachet products where the amount of underwriting required is going to be minimal, such that it is a simple product, right? So, for example, I have vector borne disease. All right, fine. It is 99 rupees. Anybody can get it, right? That is the first type. This can be done based on the idea that I am just buying vector borne disease as a separate transaction just for myself. The second one is where we are talking about getting an embedded component to it, which means that I am buying a television. Can I get the seller to insure that? Or can I get the customer to want insurance for that so that the TV is delivered to me and everything works fine? Or can I also do something slightly what is already happening, right? And we're looking at things like I'm buying an air ticket. Can I just add a couple of little bits to it and add it so that I'm getting travel insurance, right? These are those embedded components to it. The other side that we're looking at, and by the way, we are already working on quite a few of these different use cases, whether it is marine insurance, whether it is, as I was saying, vector-borne disease, or we are looking at embedded insurance components to it, or even third-party motor vehicle. So we're looking at all of these different ones where the flows are being built out. Hopefully, the flows should be ready in the next few weeks, at which point in time we will put out the specifications and the sandbox, and people can then start actually logging into it and utilizing that. Okay. Now, so that being said, the idea is completely simple. I've decided to buy a television. Okay. Can I buy insurance as a customer? Or I'm buying a television. Can the seller say, I want to insure this particular transaction, or I want to insure the delivery of this, or I want to make sure that, hey, is there a specific type of insurance that I can get, whether it is shopkeepers insurance, etc. Also, second part, as I said, is the non-embedded component, as I was saying, was vector-borne disease kind of thing, which is sachets, right? All of those different things are what we're working on. As I'm going through, Rohit, I see a question that you've asked, which is it government funded or are we or owned? So we are a Government of India initiative under DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We have our office in Delhi, and we have about 1,000 person hours of work going into ONDC on a daily basis. Right, that's the level and scale that we're doing. We are funded by various banks. So whether it is Axis, SBI, PNB, IDFC, HDFC, etc., as well as NABARD, SIDBI, BSC, NSC, etc. Right, and all the names of who is on our investor panel are all up on our website also. So please feel free to go look at our website. It is www.ondc.org. Okay. That being said, if you have any other questions, please feel free to pop it up, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. What else? Well, as I said, what we're trying to do is across 1 billion people. So we are really and truly looking forward to your participation because what we are trying to do cannot be done with just ourselves or sitting in the office and expecting stuff to happen, right? It can only happen if we have your help and your support, as well as you working towards this and connecting your customers and your supplier bases onto the network. So Prashant, hi, you've asked what can ONDC offer to an Indian insurance broker, right? Well, what we're looking at is very simple. Do you have a certain set of products that you want to offer out, and are you looking for customers, or you already have customers and you want to give them more of a base point, right? From a insurance perspective, look at it this way. If you are a broker, you basically would need to lock into the ONDC gateway, which is one integration point. And behind the integration point, the OEMs or whoever would then come into, and you'd be able to get it. So it kind of it starts making that entire process of integrations that much easier, faster, cheaper, etc. From the OEM's perspective, again, you are coming in, locking into the network, and you're not having to go and create interface points across a lot of them. One more major thing that I want to throw out there is that whatever we are doing has to be done only under the ambit and the purview of the government of India. So whatever laws are existing, those are sacrosanct to us. Okay, we are not here to try and change the laws. We are not here to try and do anything that IRDA, SEBI, RBI, etc. have not already mandated. If it has been mandated, that part of it comes into play, and that is absolutely what we will do also. Okay. Arvind, you have ONDC is a protocol which unbundles the value chain of an e-commerce company. Yes and no. As a matter of fact, it just makes it that much easier. Yes, we are a set of protocols and we define the standards by which people will talk to each other. But we are also allowing each e-commerce entity, okay, not just the ones that are already existing, but even newer ideas to pop up. What that means is that there are newer and newer thoughts and newer business models that are constantly popping up. And our view is, hey, whoever wants access to this, please feel free to go and get it. Right? It is completely possible. Right? We are not here to say that business model cannot work or this business model cannot work. Think of us as we are providing you a rail. Whether you decide to put a steam engine or a or a high speed train or a bullet train, that is completely up to you. Okay. Is ONDC UPI for commerce? Kinda, yeah. And by the way, since NPCI is also working with us very strongly, where NPCI, by the way, is one of the few entities where they are the settlement agency for the commerce side to the transactions. One more major thing that since we brought that up, let me throw out another thought. Right, if I look at it, the way that it works is that since the money has been collected, if under normal circumstances, if it has been collected by the buyer application, so let's say PhonePe has collected money from Rahul Handa for a product which is going over the network to a magic pin. Okay, now there is an RSP framework that has also been defined, which is the recon service provider model, where that recon service provider model will send the settlement advice to the settlement agency, which is NPCI, from where they will take the money from the collector's account, which is, let's say, the buyer application or PhonePe's account, and send it over to Magic Pin, which is the seller's account. Right? That entire thing is going to happen. And then, based on this, if there is a return flow, then the Magic Pin will then become the collector, and they'll send the money back through the same format also. One more major component is in this scenario is that we've also built out something called issue and grievance management. Right? Now, where the issue and grievance management side to it comes into picture is that where and how do we find issues? I mean, I ordered a product, it didn't show up, or it came late, or it came broken, okay, or I had some kind of an issue. We built out a 4-level process. The first level being the complaining. So if you are a customer, you will go to your buyer application to go and place a complaint. If you're a seller, you will go to your seller application to go and place a complaint. Right? The idea behind this is that we don't want you as a customer or whoever is having an issue to be bopped around over the network. Because remember, the network is pretty diverse and it will be running over hundreds of thousands of different sets of people who will be interacting with it. So at the end of the day, it is going to be very clear. Service is going to define where that customer or that seller is going to stay. Right? So I have a problem, I go to my buyer application. I'm a seller and I'm having an issue, I will go to the seller application. I will place my request there. They have 24 hours to either respond, to fix my issue, and or if it is not responded to and fixed in 24 hours, it will escalate to level 2, which is when the GROs associated in that ecosystem chain of that particular transaction get involved. Okay. What that means is that if there is a grievance redressal officer for the buyer application, the seller application, the logistics service provider, they'll all have to get involved and try and resolve it. If they're not able to resolve it, at that point in time, it will get escalated to level 3, which is the online dispute resolution, or the ODR framework. And the way that we've also done this is, initially we've taken on all the people who are already integrated, or sorry, who have been impaneled by Sehmati, which is the AA framework, right? The account aggregator framework. And we've taken them and put them into our network also. So if there are 7 people, then effectively both sides of it, which is the complainant and the respondent, will have to choose 5. Both will choose 5. At which point in time, at least one will be common, and that one will then help both parties go through conciliation, mediation, and arbitration. Right? There again, there is a time frame, and if they are not able to fix it within that time frame, then it is going to be escalated out, and we then have to say, please go to court. The objective behind IGM also is to try and see if we can minimize the number of people going to court, which is why we've set up level 1, which is within the complainant and their interfacing application. Second one is where the GROs come and get involved. And then the third one is where the ODR structure comes into play. Right? The idea behind this is, and the thought came from where somebody's just asked about whether ONDC is the UPI for commerce. Yes. But where there is a product flow happening, yes, we have to have a reverse flow of money also happening, right? As well as we also have to make sure that where the money flow has been coming back, I also have some kind of an issue and grievance management flow to it. So those are different things that we have also done. Now, from a question set, Arvind, where you've asked about whether the presentation will be shared. This presentation is up on the ONDC website. So if you go into the ONDC website, you will be able to go to resources and there, how to join as a participant. And then under that, you will be able to see all the different things, whether it is the network agreement or it is this presentation, etc. too. Okay. Business model, we are a Section 8 company, right? We as a Section 8 company where we are not here to try and make money. Okay, so like the UPI model goes, we will probably charge a couple of basis points, and basically we are here only to try and keep ourselves solvent, and that's about it, right? We are not here to try and make money on this. For credit, will it compete with or collaborate with Oaken? Well, we're building our own structure, and Oaken, whatever they've also built out, we will integrate that into. Okay. Can we sell insurance-backed extended warranty for electronic devices and appliances? Absolutely, yes, Uma Maheshwaran. Yes, you can. We are building out a structure for services, and services are basically defined both as add-on services or home services, or it is gig worker services. Under that, whether you're selling it as an insurance part to it, or you want to sell it as an extended warranty, those are different. That is your view behind it. We are here to enable any of your different constructs that you want to have in place. Okay. Insurance broker part, Prashant, I've just spoken about. Akhil, who takes ownership of the correct product being delivered to the end consumer without tampering, on time, etc. So there is more trust across the ecosystem. Akhil, as I said, I've just spoken about the overall flow for our IGM, but there is another component that comes into play, where what we're talking about is that there is an ONDC score that is being created, right? So then there is a badging service also that is being communicated out. Now, when we look at the badging service, right, it's not like I'm a seller on one seller application and I decide that I'm going to be a devil on one and an angel on other, because like everywhere, your scores start getting created, which means that if you're on one seller application and you're doing great and you have a 4.8, you can't go to another place and say, "Oh, I'll try and make some money on this and I'll jimmy with the system," because what will happen is that you are getting a score which is going to get aggregated across multiple platforms, right? And that score is going to be shown to various buyer applications, etc. Also, what that does is that the idea here is, how do I minimize anyone trying to be a bad actor? And over a period of time, if you've done more bad than good, then the network policies also permit us to put you into suspension or termination as a seller application. So chances that people will try and be bad actors, yes, will happen, but hopefully we will capture and we will take them to task on that. Okay. Yes, whatever, whenever you want to reach out to me, please, I'm putting down my email address also in the chat box. Please feel free to reach out. No issues. Okay. Um, okay. Are there any fees built into every leg of the transaction, Rajendra? Yes, there would be small basis points that I was just discussing. Okay. So there'll be a small basis point which will be existing. We'll be talking about it as soon as each entity starts going on to it. Um, okay, how you deal with insurance companies and insurance brokers both on the same platform? Any guidelines? No, we have no guidelines towards this. Whatever is there in as per rules and regulations, stick to that. Right. For the purchase journey or the insurance track, Shweta, we'll be coming out with the different workflows, and we should be putting it out in the next couple of weeks itself. Yes, it does require a certain amount of system integration. Thanks, Yugal, for bringing it up. You as a, let's say if you're coming in as a seller application, right, you need to integrate into the ONDC gateway. That can be done either directly, you do it yourself based on the flows that we will provide you with and the API specifications, or you can take on something that we call as a TSP or a technology service provider, and you can actually use those ones too. Okay. Abhay, for insurance products, would ONDC provide a product configurator to Paytm, PhonePe, etc., to help them launch the products on their insurers or launching the products, and the associated tech would be the responsibility of the super apps like Paytm? Well, largely it is going to be the different buyer application. Doesn't have to be a super app. It can be a buyer application. It is their responsibility to be able to send out that request, and your responsibility to respond back, right? So to give you another example, if somebody comes to Paytm or to PhonePe and all and says, oh, I want to sell masalas and I want to send them to Australia, right? It is the seller application's responsibility to say, no, I won't even respond back because this is not possible. Because it is not the responsibility of the buyer application to try and know everything about everything. It is not possible. Okay, so Dharmendra, you've asked, most of the Sachet products, Sachet solutions are part of the group policy. How the group will be formed here in the open network. Dharmendra, give us a couple of weeks. We should be able to launch out and let you know what the different flows are. And yes, we were looking at the group policy construct also. Just give us another couple of weeks. We should be able to answer that question for you. Prashant, whether buyer application will be multiple from customer point of view or for the same objective? Yes, absolutely. It's literally going to be the same construct where you can still go to multiple buyer applications, and you as a customer will decide wherever you get better service or better product sets and all. Well, product sets will be the same, but wherever you get better service, that is where you will stick to. Sumit, would I be right in saying that ONDC is like Bima Sugam for insurance? Yes, I know Bima Sugam is an IRDA initiative. Kind of, sort of, yes, except that we cover every and any different vertical. Right now, we are starting off with food and beverages, which is restaurants, groceries. Electronics is getting started off. Fashion and footwear is getting started off. And as I said, finance as a whole is also getting started off. Okay. For insurance products, would no, that I've already just mentioned. How would segregation happen between different vendors for particular services? No, it is simple, Priyanka. So whoever is a seller responds back to the buyer application. The buyer applications are not allowed to play favorites. That is one major rule, right? So whoever comes up with a request or is getting, or if you're getting 100 products being shown to you, you have to apply the same rules across all sellers. So you can't turn around and say, oh, I don't like that seller and hence I won't show that particular product. You can't do that. But if you're turning around saying, I want to show a particular product which is cheapest first or it is closest first or so, you have to apply the same rules that are being applied to you across the entire network. From a technology perspective, what my tech people have told me is that we're basically an async protocol. So not everybody has to respond back right there and then. Some people will respond back faster. Some people will respond a little slower. Okay. Prashant, any registered technology services partners to help for onboarding integration with ONDC, since insurance is a complex product? We have about 10 different TSPs. We call them technology service providers or TSPs. So as soon as the specs and the workflows for insurance are out there, we will let you know who are the different sets of people who are coming in and doing that. Uma Maheshwan, can we run both a buyer and a seller application? Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, if you are a platform which has been doing buyer and seller, we will mandate that you have to come on to both sides. There'll be a different time framing, but yes, you will have to come on both sides. Can Insurtech act as a TSP to onboard insurance onto ONDC? Absolutely, yes, Sachin. And how do you plan to handle NSTP flows? Again, so as I said, give us a couple of weeks for the flows to be come out, and we will send that out. Tech players, please integrate into ONDC, and you have a very, very good play out here, because we have about 10 different technology service providers always looking for more. Okay. So Sachin, I've just answered that. Bima Vahak project, which is a sister journey. Yes, so we are talking to them also. Let's see where that goes. Arvind, how will the governance layer of ONDC be managed? Will there be a dedicated third party managing it, or will it be owned and managed by ONDC? Well, think of it like this, right? Largely, when we look at it, it is going to be a model where it is the network is for the participants, by the participants, etc. Right? So it is basically for the participant to be able to do a lot more of it. However, the governance side to it for all of these different transactions is covered inside of the network agreement that the network participants have to sign with ONDC, right? And they are governed by the network policies also. If you're talking about our governance layer, we already have a governance over us also, obviously. Okay. Rohit, any TSP for advertising services? Again, there are TSPs, but nothing which is specific to only certain sets of agencies itself, right? So yes, we are going to grow out the buyer network also, obviously, because otherwise it doesn't really work. It has to be multiple sets of people who are joining all the time. Shobha, have I covered all the questions? Who will guide customers in buying insurance? So again, that is, please give us some time and we'll be able to get back to you with all the different flows. But if you are providing that assistance, then if you're required to be IRDA compliant, you have to be IRDA compliant. As I said, we are not here to change any rules. If the rules already exist, you have to comply with those. Okay. As an insurer, if we sell products at the on the ONDC network, we are not a platform. So on the network, will ONDC charge any fee or commission? Yeah, it'll be a small point to it. Subrata, I've answered this question around Oaken. Whatever little has been built out by Oaken, we will interface with that. However, we are also building out our entire specs, whether it is credit or it is insurance or it is for mutual funds and investments, etc. Okay. Broad level of scope for Insurtech. Please play with this. We'll see where we can go. Is there a play over time to leverage ONDC to enable cross-sell via embedded insurance? Absolutely, there is a play. We are looking at different sets of products that can be locked in, whether it is from a cross-sell perspective. As I said, I mean, I'm buying a air ticket. Can I lock in travel insurance into it? Right? Or to say that I will buy a particular product and then I need to buy, let's say I bought a a washing machine? Do I need to buy covers for it? Yes, absolutely. All those different things. Insurance specs, Sachin, in the next couple of weeks, we should be able to give out all the flows and the specs for it also. So just give us a couple of weeks. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. How is it different from Bima Sugam initiative IRDA? That is specifically from so Amit, the question that you are asking is that it's primarily related to only to insurance, and where possible, we will definitely be integrating with them also. How are you solving late delivery times dispute mechanism? I have spoken about both mechanisms of dispute management as well as the schema that we've got of ONDC rating and ranking also, right? So the rating and scoring, so that if anybody's acting as a bad player or a bad actor, we'll be giving them all the scores. Is ONDC government owned? As I said, ONDC is owned by, we've got money invested in us by the different banks, which basically means that we've got people from the banks like IDFC, Axis, SBI, PNB, HDFC, SBE, NSC, BSC, etc., NABARD and SIDBI, etc. also. The names of the people who invested in us are actually on our network. Okay. Are there any players who are playing in the governance side of ONDC? Please, Arvind, drop me an email. Let's talk about this. I am not sure what you mean by that. From integrating BNPL to ONDC, I've just been answering that a few times. But yes, we are building out the flows for supplier side financing using GST, etc. also. Okay. How do you envision dispute resolution? I have just mentioned, I did explain out the flows. Insurance and mutual funds, yes, we are going to be selling, Shubham. We will be enabling. Sorry, we are not the ones selling it, because we are only the enablers. We'll be enabling insurance and mutual funds also. Okay. And the who has to cater to the regulations? Well, it has got to be the buyer app and seller app. Embedded insurance, I've already spoken about. Insurance lending, be independent plug. It will be these will all be plugged into the network. So we are not a platform; we are a network provider only. Okay. Can ONDC have dedicated platform? No, we are not a platform. We are a network. Okay, so we'll be there. Operational complexity of fulfillment, yes, that is a very, very important factor. And Tushar, that is being looked at primarily for all the flows that are there. How Beacon IO protocols related to the basis behind everything that we are doing, the underlying factor is Beacon protocol, Shubham. Okay. Who will build the seller app side of things for insurance? Well, that is for you, Pranshu. If you are the Insurtech person, you can build that entire thing, or you can take it on from a TSP side to it. Okay. Grievance redressal done. Demand is clear. Supply side is complex. Absolutely, yes, Pranshu. So wait for a couple of weeks. We'll be able to get you those flows. Revenue model, Balasundaram, I've already spoken about, sir. Are you going to allow all insurance products or only pre-underwritten simple? Now, all. On which it'll take us some time to get everything ready, but yes, we will make sure that everything is going to be on there. The way that we look at it is that if there is a physical flow, it should be possible to be put onto digitally also. Integration with PSU, yes. Credit, will it? Well, we've answered that a few times. How will tech players offer? We've spoken about that. Authentication of unique buyers and sellers. Well, it's a good point, Pranshu. The way to look at it is that unique buyers. It is not a concept of uniqueness, right? It is a matter of managing the buyers and the sellers. Whoever provides better service, it is theirs. So seller onboarding is the responsibility of the seller application. Buyer onboarding is the responsibility of the buyer application. Insurtech act as a TSP? Absolutely yes. Rohit, I've put down my email address, which is rahul@ondc.org. Akhil, can a buyer application limit which logistics provider can be allowed on their platform? No, as I said, if you're looking at any form of providing a certain product or a service, you have to apply the same rules consistently. Okay, is hosted integration related to insurance purchase or well claims also we haven't figured that one out part of it, yes, but yes, we will work on that too. Okay, anything else left over? I think I've completed practically all the little red dots, and as I said, quite a few of these questions have been things that we have been working with and getting some help from Anu also. And so we've been working with some of the different organizations across India to get their views around the process, the few the tech specs, etc. Also. So just give us a couple of weeks. We should be able to launch out specifically insurance also. Credit should be out in the next few weeks also. Before, so credit will come first, insurance will come right after that, and mutual fund after that.
So thank you so much, Rahul. It was wonderful and quite enlightening to listen to your views and understanding more about ONDC. From IIA, I would like to personally thank you for giving your time for this, and I hope the discussions and the connect will continue. To the audience, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. And we will be back very soon with a new topic and a new speaker. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.